According to Bob Iger and the board of directors of the Walt Disney Company, their stock has been doing fantastic and has never had a problem, except when that Bob Chapek was in charge of the company. However, a new report out of Barron's, owned by the same people as the Wall Street Journal, says that Disney has lost a decade of growth, despite the $70 billion purchase of Fox, which appears to have just gone poof as far as the stock is concerned. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is my Wookiee co-pilot, Vash Sky, and also my, what's the word? Oh, dang it. My Calamarian shipbuilder, WDW Pro.
You must be squidding me. Seriously, that's my intro?
The Calamarians are not the squids. The other guys on the planet are the squids. They're the evil ones.
Tell that to the fry cook. I've had it before. I know what it is.
Yep. But let's see if we can cook this up and get it just right so it's not too rubbery for you. Let's talk about this report out of That Park Place, synthesizing an excellent report out of Barron's. This one by Cham Lee, Disney's Lost Decade, a critical perspective on stock performance. You can go over to That Park Place and read this one. A recent financial publication bluntly labeled Disney stock a lost decade, arguing the shareholders who held Disney for 10 years would have significantly underperformed compared to broader market benchmarks. This sounds familiar to a report out of Seeking Alpha that came out not too long ago. Pro, do you remember that one? Do you remember which notorious asset outperformed Disney stock?
Which notorious asset? Could it be perhaps the entire S&P 500?
It did, but the one I was referring to is cash. Cash money actually outperformed Disney stock over a period of time. It was when you are literally not keeping pace with inflation, you might have a problem on your hand. You maybe don't need to be asking Bob Iger what your next creative choice is. Let's continue, though. At the heart of this critique is the simple fact that Disney shares today trade around the same levels as they did in 2015. So, 2015. What were the worries on people's minds in 2015? We had no great political divide in the United States, at least not on the level that we're talking about now. We did not have any global medical situations to speak of. What was the difference between 2015 and now? What was the? I'm actually asking this question here of you, Pro and Vash. What happened between 2015 and 2025 at the Disney company versus its performance?
They removed the Lime Dole Whips from the registers, which is really sad.
I was going to say Star Wars The Force Awakens was released. That just, right after that, things just went downhill. No, actually, it was a pretty optimistic time from what I can recall. But unfortunately, I think the franchises that Disney was looking to mature, especially Star Wars, as I mentioned, I think the expectations from many didn't quite come to fruition. Marvel took some time, but even that went by the wayside. Is that what you're referring to, Jonas?
Yeah, there are so many things in 2015, and I may get a date wrong here or there, but Disney only owned 30% of Hulu at the time. Disney Plus had not been invented yet, and there were people working on that in 2014. So I'm not saying that it wasn't released until 2018, 2019. I think actually 2019 is when it launched. They still had John Lasseter at the company. They had not yet bought Fox. They did own the rights to Star Wars at this point, if I'm not mistaken. There were so many things. The sky was blue, as Disney likes to talk about blue sky. And ever since that moment to this moment, there's been one man that has been the architect of so many changes at the Disney company that seems to be very good at spending billions of dollars. I can't even count the number of digits in my head of the figures of how much money he has spent in order to try to raise the value of this company, and it's stagnant.
And let's be honest here. One of the things that caused Disney to lose a decade of stock growth is Bob Iger decided to go political. I mean, you can't get away from it. They brought in all of this Reimagine Tomorrow stuff, Story Matters Group. They turned the MCU into the MCU. They subverted our expectations with Star Wars. They got rid of the only strong woman at Lucasfilm, Gina Carano. They did everything they could to placate the people who don't pay them and sent away the mainstream middle, the sensible center, and those on the right. And now Disney's not all right. They're trying to fix that slowly. But over a decade, they filled their ranks with people who are rank and file partisans, hacks, if you will. And that's been the big problem. That has led to absolute stagnation in the value of the company. And it has had a bit of a bump a little bit this year, but that's in line with the rest of the stock market at large. You're still better off, I believe, although no financial advice being given, you're still better off having just a general S&P 500 ETF or mutual fund or what have you, rather than being invested into the happiest, but maybe not most lucrative kingdom on earth.
Interesting to me that if you were to buy Disney shares in order to affect change at the company, that would essentially be a useless endeavor. Vesh, go ahead with whatever you were going to say.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think that's very true. I think you guys make some great points. I think Nelson Peltz was making this same point here, in that the stock price, and as it compares to the S&P 500, just isn't consistent. Disney just hasn't seen the amount of growth that people expect, especially with the amount of purchases that they've made. I mean, you're talking about a $70 billion acquisition of Fox and its assets, a $40 billion debt load that they still have to this day. They're still paying interest on. Good luck with that. Current interest rates and so forth. Hopefully you get a fixed rate. I don't know. But when it comes to the politicization of the company, I think Pro is absolutely right, and it's so profound because the people who were stalwarts creatively of the company, like John Lasseter, for example, they were pushed out because of this mindset change that the company was going through. The empowering of some creatives who happened to vote along the right political lines that the company was looking for at that time has really skewed the content output and the values of the company to such an extent that you have people, retreating from its products, not just because of political reasons, but sometimes it's quality reasons. Sometimes it is something that's objectionable, especially from a family company historically. So all of these things, I think, have led to a kind of mediocre stock price and a lack of creatives to create product to get it higher than it is now.
Right. Well, and let's here's how bad it is. Okay, I haven't seen the statistics for this last election. I don't imagine it'll be very different. But I believe it was the 2020 election, employees of the Walt Disney Company, if I have this number right in my head, it was something like 92% of all political givings from employees across the Disney Company went to the left. Now, what that means is if you've got 92%, you basically have monolithic thinking inside your company. And that's no good because you actually need both classically liberal people and classically conservative people, because those tend to break down along, what would you say? You might look at their personality traits to determine a lot of what they believe politically, because conservatives tend to be people who are more interested in preserving that which works and defending against too harsh of a change. Classical liberals tend to be the people who identify problems rightfully and then push forward to make progress of getting those things changed. And the interplay between those two groups within any company is what allows you to have the best path forward. The conservatives protect the things inside the company that work. The liberals find the things that don't work. And then you have a counterplay between those two groups within the company. By purging out essentially all of the conservatives, and especially at places like Walt Disney World, by purging all of that out, this is a company that's been bankrupt on anything except pushing forward with tremendous progress and wipe out the past, put disclaimers on everything you can see. And that's why in 2015, Bob Iger was seen as a genius for picking up Star Wars. And he was. He was seen as a genius for what had happened at Marvel. And he was. He was seen as a genius for picking up Pixar. And he was. And then Bob Iger went against his own interests because he was politically motivated. He thought he was going to make a political move in his career, and he politicized the company. And it destroyed the company for 10 years. Now nobody looks back and says, oh yeah, Star Wars is doing great. We all see that. We see the crater that it is. Marvel, the same thing is happening. We're watching it. Pixar used to be an absolute, you knew if a Pixar movie came out, that was going to be the biggest movie of the summer. That was going to be so lucrative in the market. Pixar now, it's more likely than not that it's going to fail. Look at Elio.
Right. You could argue that the entire Oscar for Best Animated Feature category was created because of Pixar. So they were also having critical success at the same time. And now it seems that a lot of the critical success that Disney has is specifically Emmy nominations and things like that from the Fox purchase, which if this hasn't been stated in this video, that $70 billion purchase of Fox has essentially disappeared as far as shareholder value goes.
And I'll tell you this too, Jonas.
Essentially worth the same.
If this is the first time, the audience, somebody out there, if folks, if you're hearing this for the first time, maybe you're new to the channel, Maybe you've never listened into the WDW Pro channel. Maybe you've never listened to Valiant Renegade. This is the first time you're hearing this kind of stuff, but it makes sense and it's clicking. The reason you don't hear it on the other channels is because a lot of those other channels were calling for these changes. They were championing them. They were telling you this was the only way that Disney was going to win. They had to be on the right side of history. And so now they can admit that they drove this company down, or even worse, that they were on the cupcake dole. They had to get their special access cupcakes, got to get 5 minutes early access to the next premiere event. And so they did not dare criticize anything Disney was doing, despite the fact that it drove Disney down.
Look at the RCID. Look at what happened there. That was a politically motivated kind of mindset for the company there, especially the people internally. And that has led to ruin. Their once lauded competitive advantage that they had in the area is now effectively wiped out, or at least minimized to a great degree. And that story is still playing out. Why do we have Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5, and all these different sequels? We have them because the company cannot establish an original franchise of its own. This consequential mindset that they've had, unfortunately, has led to reduced value for shareholders, for sure.
Absolutely. Now, there is one thing that I think the company could do to add $70 billion of value to their bottom line right now, and that is bring back free Fast Pass, get rid of these foolish lightning lanes and move on. That last one was a joke. Although, I will say, the end of free Fast Pass, as controversial as that was, probably a loss of value in the people's minds as well. Is there anything else we want to point out before we wrap this up, guys?
I think Pro has made some very astute observations on his channel over there. Definitely check out the WW Pro channel if you haven't. But I think this is most fascinating because for all the acquisitions that should have added tremendous value to the stock, for all these amazing franchises that all the trades and publications tout to this very day, the fact that they really haven't broken out of the, I'd say, 100 to 120 price point right there in so long is really a reflection, I think, of just the creative engine not firing on all its cylinders.
They want you to believe that they're the elites. They want you to believe that they are the big kahuna, the behemoth of all of the entertainment companies. They are the stalwart. Folks, if you just owned all the companies on average, you were beating Disney. Don't let them fool you.
But that being said, if you were not fooled, let us know in the comments section down below. Of course, if you have a theory on how Disney can get the $70 billion back, let us know the thing that they should fix at the Disney company to just bring in that money. Let us know. And of course, if you haven't done it yet, hit the like button. It really does help out the channel. Of course, if you have not done it yet, please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.